It's 2 in the morning, Afghanistan, January 2002, 7 weeks after September 11th. A Green Beret sergeant is alone in a dark room. No light, no backup. 3 enemy fighters surrounding him. He kills the first 2 with his rifle. The third one jumps him from behind and starts clawing at his eyes. The sergeant throws the man over his shoulder, snaps his neck. And in the dark, he can feel the man's hands, still moving, still grasping. Most people think they know how the Afghanistan war started. They think of Tora Bora, the caves, Bin Laden. What they don't know is that while all of that was happening, a small company of Green Berets was running a different kind of operation, quietly, at night, in the mountains. Company A, 1st Battalion, 5th Special Forces Group, commanded by Major John West. Since December 2001, just weeks into the war, his company had already executed 3 sensitive site exploitation missions, SSEs. The concept is simple. You raid a location, kill or capture the fighters, and take everything that might be intelligence: documents, phones, computers, cash, weapons, encrypted communications. 3 missions, 3 successes. So complete was their surprise, so fast their execution, that in all 3 operations combined, only 2 shots had been fired. Both of them warning shots. Every single fighter they encountered had simply surrendered. West's company wasn't just good, they had built a reputation, even among the people they were hunting. On January 9, 2002, US Central Command issued a new order. 2 suspected al-Qaeda compounds, Hazar Qadam, a remote mountain village in Oruzgan province, mission designation AQ-048, kill or capture any Taliban or al-Qaeda personnel. 2 compounds, 1.5 kilometers apart. Photo interpreters looking at the imagery flagged one thing that changed everything: women and children inside the compounds. An aerial strike was off the table. This had to be done by hand, in the dark, on the ground. West divided his company into 2 assault forces. He would personally lead OD, AS, 512, 513, and 514, a 45-man dismounted force on a 5-kilometer foot approach through the mountains to Objective Kelly. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Dwight Ashford, would lead OD, AS, 511, and 516, mobile in heavily armed HMMWVs, 6 kilometers overland to Objective Bridget, New Zealand, SAS on standby as the Quick Reaction Force. FBI agents attached to both forces because in January 2002, the US government was still deciding whether to charge captured al-Qaeda fighters in civilian courts. The plan was built around one principle: no predictable patterns, different landing zones every mission, different approach routes, everything designed so the enemy could never anticipate where they'd come from. The helicopters would fly, nap of the earth, skimming valley floors, hopping over mountain passes to keep the sound hidden behind ridgelines, landing zones hidden from the target by intervening peaks. 3 times they tried to launch the mission. 3 times it fell apart before anyone reached the target. Attempt 1. Marine CH-46 helicopters trying to insert a surveillance team ahead of the raid. Mechanical failure. Mission scrubbed. Attempt 2. Same mission, different night. Heavy icing on the helicopter. Abort. Attempt 3. The aircraft lands. The rotors kick up snow. A blizzard whiteout swallows the landing zone completely. They can't see anything. Mission scrubbed again. CENTCOM was pushing hard for this mission. On January 17th, a video teleconference, they ordered the mission to proceed, without the pre-raid surveillance, without eyes on target, going in blind. January 22nd, they finally launch. The Kelly force lands at its offset LZ, starts the march. Then, while Ashford's helicopters are flying to pick up the Bridget force, the pilots radio back. Weather near Hazar Qadam, getting worse. Mission postponed 24 hours. Under a bright moon, in temperatures of 13 degrees Fahrenheit, the Kelly force marches back to its landing zone. The AC-130 gunship, already airborne and en route to support the raid, turns around, returns to base. They have come this far 4 times now. They haven't fired a single shot. Tomorrow night, they go again. The weather has cleared. West's 45-man Kelly force loads into Marine CH-53 Sea Stallions. Ashford's mobile force, the GMVs, the drivers, the 26 soldiers, load into 3 MH-47 Chinooks from the 160th SAW. This was the only time in the entire Afghanistan deployment A-15 would fly in MH-47s. The aircraft fly nap of the earth, sound masked by the ridgelines. Both forces arrive at their offset LZs on schedule, 7,000 feet above sea level, level, 17 degrees Fahrenheit. West's force starts the 5-kilometer-foot approach around the mountain. Ashford's vehicles move out. Night vision, no lights, frozen dirt road. 6 kilometers to Bridget. They arrive at their pre-assault positions exactly on time. Both forces in position. Radios confirm everyone is up, everyone is ready. Then Ashford's force hits the irrigation ditch, a deep irrigation channel running along the outer wall of Bridget. The vehicles can't cross it. The whole plan was built around the GMVs, providing heavy weapons support, 5 machine guns and a grenade launcher per vehicle during the breach. Now they can't get in position. Ashford has 2 options: delay the assault and wait for the vehicles to find a way around, which means Kelly goes in without Bridget and the element of surprise is gone, or he goes in right now without the heavy guns. He calls West. West concurs. Go. In both compounds, the assault teams move to their breach points. 3 simultaneous breaching charges on Kelly, 1 on Bridget. The countdown comes over the radio. Stand by. I have control. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute. At Kelly, the 3 ODAs flood through 3 simultaneous breach points. 10 buildings, dozens of fighters inside, in minutes, physically overpowered, not gunned down, overpowered, room to room, hand to hand in some cases, the kind of close quarters training that takes years to get right. 1 enemy fighter, firing from a doorway, wounds Staff Sergeant Jesse Wilcox in the right foot. As the fighter backs out of the building, still firing into the darkness, a security team member drops him with a single shot. A second enemy sentry fires on the assaulters from outside the compound. He's killed immediately. Those are the only 2 enemy deaths at Objective Kelly. 27 detainees taken, 2 enemy fighters dead, 1 American wounded. Objective Kelly, detainees 27, enemy KIA, 2 US, casualties, 1 non-fatal, duration, less than 2 hours. West knows the operation is a success by every metric his orders defined. But as the site is being secured, one of his assaulters brings him something. Flag. The flag of the new Afghan government, found inside the compound. At Objective Bridget, the moment Ashford's assault teams run through the main gate toward their breach points, a guard spots them. He fires. Alarm shots. Compound erupts. Ashford's force fights through the courtyard, to the main building, through the door, room to room. Inside, flashbang grenades first, then in. 5 enemy fighters killed in the initial breach. 2 others escape through windows into the darkness. Then the radio goes quiet for a moment that nobody will forget. Master Sergeant Albert Pale and Sergeant First Class John Sue burst into a room. An enemy fighter runs out between them. Sue spins, pursues him into the dark, shoots him down before he clears the compound. Pale is alone now, in the room, in the dark, night vision goggles on. 3 men were in that room with him. He kills the first 2 with his M4 carbine. The third one jumps him from behind, clawing at his eyes. Pale, using combat jiu-jitsu, throws the man over his shoulder. The man's neck snaps on impact. In the dark, Pale can feel the man's hands, still moving, still grasping at him, even with a broken neck. He draws his 9mm pistol, fires twice. When Pale tried to move, he realized his opponent's hand was caught in his body armor. The dead man was still attached to him. In the next room, the last enemy fighter dropped his rifle the moment the assaulters came through the door. He was flex-cuffed in seconds. Outside in the courtyard, after clearing the main building, Ashford's force comes under heavy fire from fighters hiding in a pile of rubble beside the building. Machine guns, rifles. Things are getting tight. Then the 2 GMVs appear at the compound gate. They found a way around the ditch. The 50 caliber machine gun opens up on the rubble heap. 19 grenade launcher follows. The fire from the rubble stops immediately, but the compound isn't clear yet. CW3, Ashford's Pashto-speaking interpreter, Marine Corporal Colin Berman, has come inside to examine captured documents. He's reading them by penlight. On the floor around him, bodies. Enemy fighters killed in the initial breach. One of them moves. The fighter, thought to be dead, quietly gets up from the floor and attacks Berman with his bare hands. Berman shoves the attacker aside. He and an assaulter kill the man with their M4 carbines. During the site exploitation, they find 4 detainees inside the compound. Shackled, in leg irons. The people the intelligence said were running an al-Qaeda site were holding prisoners of their own. Back at Objective Kelly, West is holding the Afghan Interim Authority flag. His compound operator at Bridget has just radioed. They found the same flag inside their compound gate. December 2001. Afghan fighters at Hazar Qadam switch sides to the new Afghan government. January 2002. Arrow US intelligence does not know. January 23rd. The raid happens. The fighters at Hazar Qadam had crossed over to the new Afghan government. 2 weeks before the raid. Nobody had reported it, not to the Americans, not to CENTCOM. The intelligence driving the mission was 2 weeks out of date. West immediately radios CJSOTF South, asks CENTCOM to reconfirm there are no friendly forces at Hazar Qadam before he orders the destruction of captured weapons. The reply comes back, "No, there are no friendlies at that site." As it turned out, that was not quite correct. The media ran with it. Eyewitness accounts, unverified, of American soldiers attacking unarmed farmers. Anti-American elements fed the story to a 24-hour news cycle that ran it without proof. Every single one of those accounts was eventually disproved, but the headline had already run. CENTCOM Commander General Tommy Franks closed the investigation with this: American troops, dressed in American uniforms, had returned fire after first being fired upon. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld personally defended A/1/5. It is no mistake at all, if you're fired on, to fire back. For West and his men, no explanation ever came for why obsolete intelligence drove the requirement for the mission. But West noted something. In every other SSE mission his company had run, the men had simply surrendered, or fled. At Hazar Qadam, they stood and fought. Hard. And the women. When the assaulters broke into the compound at the extraction LZ, a helmeted, masked green beret leading a little girl by the hand through the dark to safety, the farmer's wife was hysterical. Until one soldier said one word. Ameriki. American. She stopped, composed herself, and quietly guided her children to the safe room. The unit's reputation had preceded them, even here, even at 2 in the morning. 27 detainees. 16 enemy fighters confirmed dead. Anti-aircraft cannons, mortars, weapons and ammunition seized and destroyed. Encrypted communications equipment and documents recovered. 1 American wounded. The Hazar Qadam raid was one of the first direct action missions the US conducted in Afghanistan. It was January 2002. The war would last another 20 years. 27 detainees.